In the United States, over the last decade, 60,000 pedestrians died under the wheels of an automobile. 1 million pedestrians were injured. Join us for the next half hour as we take a look at perils for pedestrians.
On this episode, we visit Redding, California, where Santiago Calatrava designed the Sundial Bridge. Upriver, trails are connected by the Ribbon Bridge. The Shasta County Public Health Department promotes walking. Caltrans District 2 promotes bicycling. Finally, we talk with the Executive Director of American Trails. Stay tuned. We're talking with Angela Bird with the Redding Convention and Visitors Bureau. What is this behind us?
This is the magnificent Sundial Bridge in Redding, California.
What is the Sundial Bridge?
The Sundial Bridge is actually a pedestrian bridge that allows people to access both sides of our Sacramento River Trail. And it just so happens that it is also an actual working sundial that really tells the time on a giant dial plate on the bridge's north side.
Where'd the idea for the bridge come from?
Well, an amazing designer and architect by the name of Santiago Calatrava actually came up with the concept for this bridge. You'll see if you look up any of Mr. Calatrava's work that it does sort of look like some of his other bridges, but it's extremely unique in that it's an actual working sundial and it's only for pedestrians.
So, how long ago did the bridge get built?
The bridge opened in July of 2004. It took about 5 years almost to complete the construction of the bridge. It wasn't an easy process as the bridge is made of steel and had to be constructed off-site and then shipped and driven here. That's another story. And then constructed on site. And steel doesn't really like to bend that well. But however, you can see when you look at the pylon of the bridge that there are large cables attaching the pylon to the deck of the bridge. And that pylon was actually twisted on arrival so that when they added the cables, it pulled the bridge straight. So it's a magnificent feat of engineering.
As a Convention and Visitors Bureau, I'm sure one of the things you're interested in is how many people come here to cross the bridge, look at the bridge. Has it been popular?
Absolutely. We've been really amazed at the popularity of the bridge. Not surprised, but just amazed at even how much more popular than even we could have expected. As with any great project in any city over history, you can imagine that it didn't come without its detractors. That some people in the community appreciated the bridge for what it was going to be, and others didn't think it was that great of an idea. Since then, the Sundial Bridge has really become Redding's town square, and even the locals come out to enjoy it on a regular basis. If you live here, you don't have family come to visit you without taking them out for a visit to the Sundial Bridge.
And if someone came here, crosses the bridge, looks at the bridge, you said it connects up with your trail system. They don't have to just turn around and go away. You do have someplace else they can walk.
Absolutely. Well, there's two reasons. First of all, the campus on which the bridge is located is the Turtle Bay Exploration Park, 300-acre campus, and they needed a way to get from one side of their park to the other. Secondarily, we were blessed with the wonderful Sacramento River Trail being designated as a national recreation trail by the federal government. When that happened, we decided we needed a really cool way to link the sides of that trail as well. So once you cross the bridge and get over to the north side, that is an access point to the approximate 12-mile Sacramento River Trail, which eventually is going to connect to the Shasta Dam.
So someplace else thinking of putting in a pedestrian bridge, maybe they aren't going to do something quite as spectacular as what Mr. Calatrava designed here. What advice would you give them?
Well, we've cloned this phrase in our office that says "Redding thinks big," and however, we are blessed with a local philanthropic organization, the McConnell Foundation. It was their president and CEO at the time who contacted Mr. Calatrava. Without him, Mr. Calatrava would not have come to our city and checked out the site for his bridge. Out of the $23 million that the bridge cost, the McConnell Foundation paid for $14 million of it. So the first advice I would give is find the money, of course. But don't take no for an answer. We had a committee. I wasn't on it. It happened long before I came to the Visitors Bureau. There was a committee formed to discuss what type of bridge would cross the Sacramento River and join the two sides of the trail. And originally the concept was, a wooden bridge or a covered bridge or something to that effect. And when John Manconsola with the McConnell Foundation suggested this type of bridge, a lot of people sort of poo-pooed the idea that it was a lot of wasted money, and the committee just didn't take no for an answer. And when they invited Mr. Calatrava, he basically charmed our council, and this is the result.
So how did it come about that you were able to get Santiago Calatrava interested in this project?
Well, John Manconsola at the time was heading up the construction of the McConnell Foundation building across town. And they had an architect up north, and he went to visit that architect. And while he was there, he saw a book of bridges by Santiago Calatrava sitting on the table. And he was amazed at the work, that it was both architecture and art, and he wanted to at least suggest it to the committee. When he came back, enough members of the committee agreed that it might be a good idea. Mr. Manconsola picked up the phone and called a phone number in the book, and it just so happened that Santiago Calatrava himself answered the phone. It was the middle of the night in Zurich, and he answered the phone and in very broken English said, "I would love to make a site visit to come and see." And it's reported that Santiago Calatrava fell in love with this location for two reasons. First of all, the blue mountains in the background that resembled his hometown of Spain. And secondly, being an architect, I'm told they have little ego, a little bit, and that he really liked that there were no other structures around that would compete with his beautiful Sundial Bridge, as his other projects might do. In the bigger cities, there are tall buildings and skyscrapers and other bridges and things like that that compete. But here, there's nothing but the beauty of the surroundings. So.
We're talking with Terry Hansen, who's manager of community projects for the city of Redding.
Hey, John.
What does a manager of community projects do?
Our major effort in the last several years has been to develop a parkway from Shasta Dam to the city of Red Bluff. We're doing that with several regional partners, the Bureau of Reclamation, the Bureau of Land Management, the National Park Service, a couple of local foundations, and other cities and counties that are interested.
It sounds like you must spend a lot of your time just in meetings with all these various entities. How is it that so many different entities would be involved in just one set of trails?
It's a matter of a common passion as well as land ownership. The Bureau of Land Management and the Bureau of Reclamation own a lot of land along the river. They anchor the north and south ends of the parkway. The city of Redding's in the center, and then there's Shasta County, and then the McConnell Foundation has some ownership on the river as well.
What's this skinny little bridge behind us?
The bridge behind us is a stress ribbon bridge. It was built in 1990. It's part of the River Parkway. It connects both sides of the river for our river trail and allows us to go upstream to Keswick and Shasta dams. It's a wonderful structure. It was fairly inexpensive to build in 1990, and it does a great job of crossing the river without damaging any of the environment.
What was involved in building the bridge? I mean, we look at it now, and it's tough to figure out how it's held up.
Fortunately, the bridge is held up by rock anchors that go into very solid bedrock on both sides of the river. And those rock anchors are attached to 236 cables that hold up the bridge deck. The deck's only 16 inches thick and 13 feet wide, so it looks very slender, and it has the impression of an old rope bridge, which is nice as well aesthetically.
Why would having a bridge like this be important along this stretch of the Sacramento River?
Well, the river itself is very important no matter where you are. It's the crown jewel of Redding. It's a beautiful setting along the banks of the river. In this particular case, we had not only a floodplain, we also had very magnificent rock outcroppings on both sides of the river that we wanted to protect.
And this connects your trails on the two sides of the river. Briefly, where does the trail network go that you'd be crossing this bridge to use?
Currently, you can go from Shasta Dam, which is about 11 miles north of us, upriver, to the Stress Ribbon Bridge and Hilltop Drive, which is about 5 miles downriver. The trail connects many points of interest in the community. There's the Turtle Bay Arboretum and Museum Complex. There's our regional river parkway park called Caldwell Lake Redding Park. There's an aquatic center. There's tennis courts, basketball courts, baseball fields and soccer fields, and lots of neighborhoods that connect to the river trail.
How much more do you have to go before you complete the part that you have planned for the near future at least?
There's about half of the 60 miles of river frontage need some kind of connectivity. Some of it will be by the river itself for boating, where there are homes along the river and you cannot connect it with trails, so we'll use boats instead. And then there are some sections where we plan to extend the river trail. The next section this coming fall will go from the Sundial Bridge across the river to the Mount Shasta Mall and our hotel complex.
So visitor staying at the hotel complex, could just go out the back door and hike all the way up here then?
They go out the front door and they can hike or bike all the way to Turtle Bay and to the river trail.
We're talking with Sarah Sundquist with Shasta County Public Health.
Hello.
Why would the Public Health Department be interested in walking?
Well, we're in the business of prevention, so we want to encourage people to walk to increase health benefits and reduce health risks such as heart disease, stroke, cancer. So we feel walking is really important and a good, easy thing for people to do. Most people can do it. It's inexpensive, and it's a good way to get from place to place.
What sort of things can you do to encourage people to walk more?
Well, some of the things that we've done at Shasta County Public Health, we've produced a series of walking guides. So for each of our areas that are incorporated in the county, we have a guide to give people an idea of what trails are in their backyard or in their community.
What goes into making up a walking guide? Where do you start?
A lot of collaboration. We actually did a few community meetings, so people could offer input in where they like to walk and what they think should be in the guide. And then we worked with a company called N-Plan that does the maps for our guides. And then we also worked with each city. So we asked them to help us with checking the guide to making sure that everything was accurate, if everything was in their property boundaries, and collaborating with them on some of the mapping as well.
And besides producing, the maps that you can hand out to the residents, what else do you do?
Well, we also do some walking groups, and so we've coordinated some volunteers to spearhead those groups. So we have several around Shasta County, and the ones that I've coordinated are mostly with seniors, so anyone 50 and older.
Why would walking be important for seniors? It's important for everybody, but why seniors?
I think the most important thing is to keep people independent and living in their own homes. So the more they can get out and do for themselves, hopefully the longer they'll be able to help themselves and be able to stay at home.
You're with the county, you deal with the cities to put a lot of this together. There's also the state level. How do the different levels work on getting people to walk more? Where do you fit into this bigger picture of all the different levels of government?
Well, the state actually gave us some seed money, the California Department of Public Health, and they have a division that's specific to promoting physical activity. So they gave us some money to start doing some of these walk guides, and so that's how we kind of got started. I also have an exercise program called Fun with Senior Fitness, and it's focusing on strength and balance, but some of the classes also do walking. So they were really helpful with encouraging us to start and giving us some seed money to buy equipment and produce different materials so that we could encourage people to walk.
We're in Redding, California, talking with Tammy Quigley, who's the bicycle coordinator for Caltrans District 2. What does a bicycle coordinator do?
I work for Caltrans District 2, which represents Shasta, Siskiyou, and Tehama counties, Trinity County, Plumas, Lassen, and Modoc County, and I'm responsible for working as an associate transportation planner and assisting our 7 counties with their bicycle transportation plans, as well as facilitating any funding opportunities that our agencies might need help with along the way for each fiscal year.
What would one of the county's bicycle plans look like? What sort of things would be in there?
They would want to include what their network currently exists of for the accommodation of non-motorized or bicyclists. And what they would look to do is maybe a 5 to 10 year plan of what they currently have, what they may want in a short-term 5-year goal, and what their long-range goals might be to include. And what they would want to do is encompass everything in that plan for their facilities, including lockers or any signage that they may need on their networks for their bicycle ways, bicycle paths, and each year they would want to look to obtain funding, and what they would need for their funding would need to reflect in their bicycle transportation plan.
And you got something you produced for the public?
Yeah, we did. About 5 years ago, we designed a cycling in the District 2 area guide, and recently went through and reproduced the guide. And what this guide does is represents all of our state facilities and interstate facilities and our state routes, 22 of them, and we cover over 1,200 travel miles, which most of our district in the 7 counties is open to bicyclists. The guide acts as a very nice service representation of the various chambers of commerce that we might have. It covers the rules and responsibilities of a bicyclist. It illustrates we have 12 districts for Caltrans. It gives all the contact information in case people are traveling throughout the state. Again, all of our chambers of commerce and their information. And it goes on to talk about what areas are open to the bicyclists. It covers what grades and terrain that they may encounter, anywhere from flat to rolling to mountainous, which we have a lot of variation in our area. It goes on and gives information on what rest stops that they're able to get to and what vista points that they might find along the way. There are a few areas in our district, mainly in the urban area, that are closed to bicyclists along I-5. What we do is give them what the alternate route might be when they encounter an area that's prohibited to bicycles. And the last section goes through each one of our routes and outlines what that profile might be. So somebody who's just wanting to, say, travel up to Lassen County east of here for the day might know what to encounter as far as what shoulders to expect and what profiles, or that group of people coming from maybe the Bay Area or out of state can plan their route accordingly by what to encounter on our roadways.
And who's been asking for the cycle guide? Is it people that live here, people from down at the Bay? Who's your audience?
We have a very large audience for this guide. First of all, it is on the internet and easily accessible through the DOT website, and our District 2 is highlighted by Shasta County, and you can obtain a copy there. It's a free publication. I can be contacted to mail out that. We have a distribution that goes out to all of our local law enforcement and fire departments, chambers of commerce, our California Welcome Centers, all of the bicycle shops in our area and outside. I've gone ahead and done a parameter outside of just our district and cover it. All of our district offices have this. I get a lot of people that are from the Bay Area, a little in Southern California, and as well as outside the state, who are very interested in this guide. We have about 11 or 12 fairs that we do, Caltrans represents, and it's available at all those, as well as things like energy fairs and any other venues that might be going on in the area.
On a nice spring day or summer day, if I'm out traveling these roads, am I going to see bicyclists that are benefiting from this guide?
Yeah, you absolutely are. We are very blessed in this area to have a great roadway system to ride our bikes on, and I will say most people that you encounter will know that this service guide exists and they may be using it.
We're in Redding, California, talking with Pam Gluck, who's Executive Director of American Trails. What is American Trails?
American Trails is a national nonprofit organization, and we work for the benefit of all types of trail users: hikers, bicyclists, water trail users, equestrians, ATV riders, the whole gamut of the trails community. We work for the benefit of them, and we're very much about communication, getting people to work together. We're about education, and we're also about advocacy and getting money for trails, and working with volunteers and helping people learn how to build sustainable trails.
You know, trails just don't come out of nowhere. What are the different ways that trails get into place so that people can use them?
The agencies, a lot of trails are driven by individuals that want trails nearby, and so they'll go to an agency and encourage them to pursue a trail. And then a lot of agencies are just very progressive, and they'll understand the importance of a trail system. And even today, communities are really getting it. I say that trails are spreading like wildfire across the country, and because communities are really getting that trails are important and should be thought of as infrastructure. We've got a long ways to go, but huge progress is being made. You almost cannot go to a community now without seeing that they're wanting to develop a trail system and get trails close to home. Also, developers are getting it, more and more of them, so that's really exciting as well.
So that people looking to buy a home or are looking for one that has trails nearby?
Yes, that's a huge selling point. They're really finding that it makes sense to to invest in a trail system.
And you mentioned volunteers earlier. I take it a lot of trails are built by volunteers. How does that work?
Yeah, a lot of trails are either built or afterwards they're maintained by volunteers. And so that's why it's so important for them to get good training, and so that they know how to build sustainable trails that will not need a huge amount of maintenance in the future. So a lot of agencies have great volunteer programs, and so you can just step right in with the Forest Service, for instance, and become a part of their volunteer program. And there are ways to just about in any community to become a volunteer for trails.
And someone who's involved with trails, either everyone from the volunteer to someone who manages trails or someone from an agency, what sort of information can they find from American Trails, either on your website or by contacting you?
Yes, American Trails has the largest online resource for trails in the world, and they can find anything from how to work with volunteers or how to become a volunteer, to how to build sustainable trails, companies to go to if they're wanting to build bridges, planning, design firms, how to get funding for trails. That, of course, is really important. And so they can find just anything and everything to do with trails and how to maintain trails, how to get funding for them. So it's really quite an extensive resource. In addition, we have a whole section on our website called our state-by-state section. So for the individual trail user, if they're interested in going to a state and learning more about the trail system in that community, they can go to that state's webpage and find out all kinds of information, links to trail systems and agencies and organizations. So it's quite a resource.
So even when you're relying heavily on volunteers, people still need money. What are some of the different sources of money people can go to, either locally or from a state or national level? What's out there?
There are a lot of resources. Communities are committing funds out of their general budgets because they're seeing that they're important. For instance, the city of Redding has quite a substantial trails budget. Of course, they need a lot more, but they're committed to trails, and that's why we have such a great trail system here, is because the city council and staff recognize how important it is to the community. So a lot of times it's from the community's own budget. There are also, federal funds involved, like Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, National Park Service. A lot of those agencies have funding for trails, although they need a lot more as budgets continue to be cut year after year, even though the use increases. And then our largest source of funding over the last 17 years has been through the transportation bill. And that has been the largest source. And there are several pots of money within that program. And enhancements program, the recreational trails program. And that has really enabled communities to move forward with their vision. And so we are concerned, though, at this time, because reauthorization is coming up in 2009, and we're very concerned about what the next reauthorization is going to look like and whether money is going to be in there for all of these trail facilities in the future. Very concerned about that.
Okay, the National Trail System Act, what did it do?
This is the 40-year anniversary, and it is so significant. A lot of people just associate it with national recreation, national scenic, and national historic trails, and that is a big part of what was enabled as a part of the legislation in '68. But it's even more than that. It's even more than about our 8 national scenic trails. We have 18 national historic trails, and there are 1,058 national recreation trails now, of which the Sundial Bridge and the Sacramento River Trail is a national recreation trail. And so that's very significant to our community to have that kind of designation here. And so in addition to celebrating those trails, the Rails to Trails program, rail banking was authorized as a part of the National Trail System Act. So that's very significant. Thousands of rail trails, we have them now because of the National Trail System Act. And basically you can trace our roots back. The trails movement, you can trace the roots back to the visionaries that created the act in 1968. So it affects all of us. It affects, everything to do with trails. It's very significant for us.
Visit us on the internet at www.pedestrians.org.